Many thanks for staying with us. Now, opposition lawmakers in the National Assembly have expressed support for the appointment of Professor Joash Amupitan as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, following his nomination by President Bola Tinubu. Amupitan, a senior advocate of Nigeria, was put forward to succeed Professor Mahmood Yakubu, whose tenure ends in October 2025. His nomination was presented at the recent National Council of State meeting. Speaking in Abuja, the lawmakers, led by Ikenga Ugo Chinyere, cited Amupitan's legal expertise, academic background, and experience in electoral law as strong qualifications for the role. They urged him to apply his knowledge to reform the commission and deliver credible elections, with the upcoming Anambra poll viewed as an early test of his leadership. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by political analyst Professor Lekie, Gima, and public analyst Tosin Akande. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me right now to have this conversation. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Gima. Before we talk about even Professor Amupitan, let's talk about the debate about if Nigeria's president should continue to be the one appointing the INEC chair or not. I wanted to know what both of you think about it. I'll start with you first, Mr. Gima.
Well, for me, it's neither here nor there. I think it's not more of who does the appointing, but the integrity of the appointee. Because even if we use some of the other methods employed by some other claims, some of them even they are supposedly more civilized claims, where it might not come directly from the president. You will still see that the integrity of whoever sits on that chair will matter most. Permit me to draw from my own experience as somebody who has been an appointee in INEC in the past. I once worked as a special assistant, personal assistant to a national commissioner in INEC at the headquarters when we were trying to bring back democracy back to Nigeria. I'm talking about the period between 1999 and 2001. And it boils down to the integrity of who you appoint. So I noticed during that period that INEC officials are often confronted with corruption situations where they are tempted by even a lot of some of the people in the political scene. But it takes you as an individual, it boils down to the individual to say no to that. So I'm speaking as somebody who has been involved in conducting elections, both national and state elections. So I can assure you that if the appointee doesn't have integrity, it doesn't matter whether it's the National Assembly that recommends him or it's Nigerians that elect him. Integrity is crucial to the conduct of an electoral process. That's it.
Mr. Akande, I'll come to you now, asking you, what do you think? Do you agree with what Mr. Gima said?
Perfectly. I agree with the Prof. And if by persuasion we are made to look at other crimes, look at what was told by the U.S. Supreme Court judges shortly after the last elections, not this one that brought in Trump, the one wherein he lost. You hear what some of the jurists in the U.S. have said to him. It's very clear. They said our ultimate loyalty is never going to be to the president, but to the letters of the Constitution of the United States of America. So we can, by persuasion, by inference, bring down the same thing to what Professor Gima has just said, that it's the ultimate moral integrity of the appointee that matters. It's very possible that Professor Joash Amupitan will decide to heed the call of the Nigerians, the Nigerian people, rather than that of the myopic interest of whoever appointed him, in this case, the president.
All right, so we know that INEC, of course, that the I in INEC means independent, and that is what it should stand for. But how can we achieve this in Nigeria, looking at where we are right now? How can we ensure that truly INEC is independent, rather?
Yeah, if I'll fire your question, let me use the word fire. If you say, how can we, to the best of our knowledge, attain that degree of independence, we have to just start from somewhere. At the moment, I just want to perfectly align with the submissions of Professor Gima, that the integrity of the appointee is what matters most, provided that the appointee swears on oath that is going to be loyal to the spirit of our Constitution. Integrity here is important, it's germane. You don't bring anybody anyhow from anywhere to man an organization as important as INEC. There are other things that we can even look at, but for now, I want to stay within the precincts of what you started the conversation with. For instance, there are electoral reforms to the requirement that there shouldn't be discrepancies, if I'll use that word, between the appointees in INEC. You know, if you look at the spirit of Section 153, and you look at, we go on to the schedules, look at Section 14A, paragraphs A and B, you will see the wordings, and then you compare it with Section 42, which talks about freedom from discrimination. There is still some discriminatory tendencies in the appointment of, I'm talking about, on the one hand, the Chief Electoral Commissioner, in which case is the INEC chairman, and the people that will assist him in the discharge of his duties. I'm talking about the National Electoral Commissioners. You know, to the effect that the National Electoral Commissioner can not be more than 40. Cannot be, should not, okay, how did the Constitution put it? Should be 40 plus. Meanwhile, that of the chairman should be 50 plus. So when you are now discriminating between such ages, you know, 40 and 50 for Nigerians, and meanwhile the Constitution earlier in Section 42, especially subsection 2 says, no Nigerian should be discriminated based on the circumstances of his or her birth. So the argument now is that, are you saying that somebody that is 50 years and something that is for someone that is 40 years, are you saying that there is no debate on the year of birth based on the letter of the Constitution that says no Nigerian should be discriminated owing to the circumstances of his birth? Year of birth will always reasonably be part of circumstances of one's birth.
All right, my next question is to you, Professor Gima. The fact that you're a professor honestly puts you in line to be qualified to be INEC chairman, of course, based on what we've seen as a pattern over the years. But the question is, why are we always picking professors? Why are we not looking elsewhere?
Let me, for the purpose of younger viewers and those who might not know our electoral history, we've not always, the trend of picking professors is fairly recent, because in 1979 we had Justice Lekie. 79 to 83, we had Lekie, that era. He was a judge. We also had a judge as the INEC chairman when INEC was established with that, if you like, call it identity and mandate, from 1998 to about 2000, 2001. Then shortly after then, we also had another very amiable chairman and gentleman. I'm talking about Dr. Abel Gobadia, who himself has had a sterling career in public service prior to his appointment. Then it was after then that we had in between, and after then and sometime in the past, especially during the military era, that we had the issues of professor. So let me be blunt. Yeah, being a professor doesn't make you more qualified to be an INEC chairman or even an INEC official at any level. I repeat, clarity of mind, history of integrity, track record of self-discipline, non-partisanship should be the criteria for which we should be looking at in choosing people with exceptional, if you like, call it mindset and skill set to be officials of INEC. I've said earlier that by God's grace, I have served at the national headquarters of INEC as an appointee, working with my national commissioner in those days. And this coincided with periods when there were no professors as INEC chairman. We served with Dr. Abel Gobadia. We also served with the Supreme Court, the late Supreme Court judge, who was INEC chairman between 98 and 2000, 2001. So it's clear that anybody that fits these categories can be an INEC chairman. So we must, I repeat, be focused on choosing the right people. And I hope that in choosing the right people, the relevant security agencies, or if you like, call them appropriate public state actors, will have done their due diligence on not just the appointment of the INEC chairman, but other officials that may be necessary to safely steer the ship of electoral activities between now and the next set of national elections in 2027. Permit me to quickly quip by saying that in doing all this, it will not be enough except the appropriate laws are put in place, which of course the electoral officials will need to administer. There is need, I've been shouting since 2001, there is need, since 2022, that there is need for the Nigerian Electoral Act to be amended. We want to see an amendment that makes certain situations impossible for even the electoral umpire to manipulate if they have such intention, and I pray they don't. We want to see a situation where if we are using new technologies, such as the machines that were poorly deployed in the last elections of 2023, where they are not available, it should be clearly stated in the law that these are the only equipment that will be used, not a resort to manual options, because manual options, as the name suggests, could be subject to discretion and manipulation. So if we are ready for serious national elections, this is what we should do. We should make those amendments now. The National Assembly and the political actors should go to work and make those amendments so that the next set of elections in Nigeria will be infallible. That's it.
All right, my next question is to you, Mr. Akande. Looking at what's at stake, right? Professor Joash Amupitan will be in charge of an institution that seems to have lost credibility in the eyes of some Nigerians. Can that perception be changed under his watch?
That will rest squarely on his shoulders, because we are only anticipating that he comes up with the best of his from his moral reservoir. And be that as it may, we should learn to be hopeful and trust in the polity that we'll have some nice things to celebrate following the appointment of Professor Joash, I insist, Ojo Amupitan.
But of course, talking about things in detail, what must he do to stare down, public distrust, improve voter confidence, and ensure a free and fair election?
One of the first things he has to bring to bear is what Professor has talked about earlier on, that we need to, circumvent some of the loopholes, the lacuna in the present electoral laws as we have them. Amendment is an ongoing thing. It's not going to be a one-off. So we'll continue to seek improvements in our electoral laws. And then the issue of voter apathy, it's very important. A lot of Nigerians, like you said, have lost confidence in the process, in the system. So, beginning with the Anambra elections that's coming up sometime in November, thereabout, we will expect to see some confidence, restored in the minds of Nigerians. And the way he goes about it, I'm sure, is going to satisfy us. We should be hopeful.
All right, we are hopeful indeed, and we hope that indeed, of course, the new INEC chairman will do the needful to restore voter confidence when it comes to INEC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having this conversation with me.